There was a glider club in Hershey, Pennsylvania. They were instrumental in helping the local people here get something going here. And so they came up and the people here gathered together and got some money together and bought some equipment. There was an airport on the west end of State College that was owned by a guy by the name of Sherm Lutz. And he allowed us to use his runway. He had a grass runway there, and we were allowed to use that to fly. And we used car tows to launch the gliders. We didn't have a tow plane or anything, and we used car tows to do training. And I remember from the Lutz Airport there, going downwind, going east from there. It's that in State College, the mountain, Nittany Mountain, was over there. So on some really, really, really good days, we were able to take our car tows or winch launching, which didn't get us very high, and literally drift our way downwind to the Mount Nittany over there, where we could stay up all day and ridge winds were blowing and so on. And then we may be able to get back to where we started from, but sometimes not. So it means we land in some farmer's field, and then the guys would have to bring a trailer and take the glider apart, and it was really a very difficult way of doing things for those people that weren't actually doing the flying, but for those of us that were in the aircraft and the glider, being able to fly along the ridges there, and along with other aircraft and birds of all things, hawks and eagles, it was really quite a remarkable experience. And it didn't cost much. I'm not sure if I remember correctly, but I don't think they charged us more than about 50 cents for a tow or something like that. It was crazy. But it was inconvenient to get back and forth to the ridge in those days. But anyway, in doing that and becoming familiar with flying gliders with other people that we got to know from other locations and whatnot, I decided that we should do the same thing here locally. And I tried to get other people involved and to build a glider port and whatnot. And that didn't work very well, but we did get some cooperation. Two of our glider club members had purchased the property we're on right now, and with the idea of being able to fly, because we're here, this property here is right at the base of the mountain, so it's much more friendly for flying gliders, and so they had purchased this property, but they had their regular full-time jobs and whatnot, and they didn't want to continue it as a commercial operation or anything, so they let me use it and eventually buy the property from them, and Doris and I developed this into what it is today. It's called Ridge Soaring Glider Port, and we've done numerous flights, long distance flights, record flights that have never been done anyplace else in the world, and we get a lot of publicity because of that, both here locally but internationally. And people came from all over the world I still do. They come from all over the world here to fly here because of the mountains that you see behind me. These are the Allegheny Mountains. And when the wind blows from the right direction, if the wind blows out of the northwest, which happens a lot, especially in the spring months and the fall months, even the winter months, the winds will blow out of Canada down across the United States and across these mountains. And if you can see where I'm looking at here, this is the Allegheny Plateau up here, and it's relatively flat. And then as the wind continues past along this flat land here, then it falls into this valley that we're in now, called the Bald Eagle Valley, and of course we're way up here, and but that air blows in and literally falls down off the top of the ridge here, off the plateau here, into this valley, and then rebounds against this mountain, and we call that ridge lift. And because of the mountains being here, and because the winds are so often coming out of the northwest, especially in the spring, winter, and fall months, why we can fly the lift that is created by the wind being pushed up against the slope of the mountain here. And so on any given day, we can fly our gliders along this ridge line. If you can see where I'm pointing up here, this is Williamsport, Pennsylvania, and the mountain goes past Altoona, Cumberland, Maryland, all the way down almost all the way to Georgia. And because of the nature of the winds blowing against the mountain, we are able to fly our gliders that entire distance, which is quite remarkable in the entire world. There's just no place like this. Coupled with that, we have the way the terrain is with the higher flat area west of us here. The air comes down and falls down into this valley, rebounds, and then does this wave type thing where it goes up and down as it heads out towards the Atlantic Ocean. So you get the primary wave occurs right here above the glider port where we are, but then you have what we call the secondary wave, and then the tertiaries where you have just wave after wave after wave. On some days you can look up and see this from the ground. You see wave after wave, a line of clouds that are perpendicular to the wind flow, and that's where the air is going up, forming the clouds, and those tertiary clouds go all the way out to the Atlantic Ocean. On some days, when you get that kind of condition going, we can fly not only north and south along the ridge line, but we can fly east and west, and using ridge lift and wave lift. And we have flights. People have made all the way out to the ocean, and we can also go west. So we have people that have flown from here all the way out to Ohio, and from here all the way down into Tennessee. and you know, we're still exploring this, and oh, thank you, Doris. Yep. Just a second, I'll get a drink of water here.
Yeah, I'll just cut a couple seconds out, grab a drink, and then start.
My voice is going. Thank you.
You're doing great, though. I'm loving it.
What about that? Anyway, so I think the map on the wall behind me indicates how these ridges are lined up, and how the wind blowing out of the north allows us to do what we do, flying up and down the ridge line here, and that's why the soaring conditions are extraordinary here. Worldwide, there's nothing quite like this, and so people literally come here from countries all over the world just to enjoy what we are able to do. And of course, on some occasions, they will invite us to return the favor, so to speak. So they'll invite us to come to where they are and fly gliders at their location. So we've had the privilege of being able to fly in numerous countries at one time or another. And one of the things that has occurred internationally is they needed the textbooks to teach other people to fly, and because of our relationship with different people here, we were able to develop some of these textbooks, and which we're still printing and still selling to people that are trying to learn to fly gliders, which moves on into those same people who end up becoming airline pilots and jet pilots, and you know, aviation and everywhere in the world are influenced by what we do here at this glider port.
That's a good pitch.
Is that enough by enough?
I love